Welcome back to Weekly Takes. A couple of these subjects I've kind of put off making commentary on because I wanted to gather more information or see how things played out a little bit more. This first one, we're going to talk about Linkin Park. I've been meaning to do a longer video on the subject. That may still be on the way. However, I think we all know by now, starting back in September, Linkin Park is back. In fact, the announcement and the new concert and all that kind of stuff actually happened on my birthday, September 5th. So that was the greatest birthday gift I've ever received. But seeing the band back together, those members of the band who are still there, which is pretty much the founding guys, Mike, Brad, Joe, and then also Dave Farrell, they're all back. Rob Borden, who was the original drummer and one of the original founding members of the band, he did decide to step away. And he was always the quietest, most reserved, most private member of the band. And I feel like I don't want to say sensitive because I don't want to, be rude to him or anything like that. But I do feel like he was probably the guy to be least capable or wanting to come back after the passing of Chester Bennington. Completely understandable. And after 20 years of doing this band and touring and making music and fans and money and all that kind of stuff, I can understand if the guy said, you know what, it's time for me to move on with my private life, do something different, maybe find a relationship, build a different life, right? And that's fine. And I think that most, if not all, Linkin Park fans would say we still love the guy, hope he's doing well, and wish him the best. Would love to see him or hear from him again, of course. Rob, if you ever get that opportunity, I think the fans and the band would love to see you come out and just kind of be like, hey, I'm still here, everything's good, that kind of thing. But we do know he's okay. he kind of fell off the radar for a minute there and kind of became a meme. I think even Mike acknowledged that at some point. But the rest of the guys are still there. They do, of course, have to have new additions because they need a drummer. And, of course, there's Emily Armstrong, who joined the band to be co-lead vocalist alongside Mike Shinoda. And it's been amazing. Not only just watching all these people feed off of each other and enjoy being on stage, and then when you see the behind the scenes for like the creation of music videos and the other projects and doing interviews, because that's where you see Brad. He's not doing touring right now. I still have hope that he decides he wants to in the future, but he does have a stand-in, a tour Brad, that is performing his guitar parts during the live shows. But he is still there, fully involved in the creative process, the marketing, the direction of the band. It's still his band with Mike and the other guys. It's still his band. It's his performance that's on the CD. When you listen to a stream or you listen to the album in any kind of way, that's his guitar. So that is pretty awesome to know that these guys that were there from the start, they are still there guiding and creating this music. But I think it's been, for me, it's been really awesome because every single album of Linkin Park's, every single production they make is a quote-unquote new direction. You see this comment from people all the time, oh, I don't like this new direction. Well, they've never not been moving in a new direction. So if you weren't there an album ago, 2 albums ago, 3 albums ago, whatever, I just kind of don't care. I really don't. This is what Linkin Park is. This is what they do. They grow, evolve, they change. And honestly, this album is a pretty good return to their harder, heavier roots, which is very nice. A lot of good energy so far from the songs like Heavy as the Crown, The Emptiness Machine. They just released a new one in Dallas at a live performance called Casualty, which is incredible. Really looking forward to the full album. It's just days away at this point. So Linkin Park from zero, I think it's going to be huge. Like the touring is huge, the singles have done really well, and seeing them happy and back together and with the sound that they've created, a mix of the old, a mix of the new, it's fresh but feels like home. And so all I can say is I'm glad they're back, and I kind of called it. I knew they would be coming back. So I've had a video on my channel before, actually at the end of last NFL season, talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and in particular, Trevor Lawrence. And I said at the time, Trevor Lawrence is not the problem. Jacksonville is the problem. And I have always stuck to that. Ever since 2022, this team has regressed. They started 2023 8-3, and they finished the season 9-8. At the point that they were 8-3, Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and he spent the majority of that season dealing with some form of injury or another, affecting his performance and confidence. And not only that, his offensive line would rarely give him the protection he needed to perform. The weapons around him would often fail. It was a constant issue, not even mentioning the scheming, the play calling, the coaching. At the time, I don't think most people were questioning it. Jaguars fans were, because we could see what was going on. But most people were not really questioning the staff at that time because of the season that they had just had and the way they had started that year. It seemed, injury bug and various other problems, things just couldn't click, and therefore they couldn't make the playoffs. I think a lot of people gave Doug Peterson and the coaching staff and front office a lot of slack going into this season. The draft for us was actually not too bad. Guys like Brian Thomas Jr., who we picked at 23 in the first round, was an absolute steal. So far this season, prior to this weekend, he was the leading rookie receiver in the league. And, he's phenomenal, especially as a deep pass guy, but even on short passes. There's so many times when you watch this guy catch a ball behind the line of scrimmage or on a screen or whatever, and his patience and ability to run behind blockers, put his hand on the back of a tight end or on the back of a lineman and follow their block till he can just take off downfield. The guy is intelligent. He's very crafty with his running like that. And then going downfield, he's probably the best new deep threat receiver in the league. And we're not using him. So, anyways, that guy, we also got Jarrian Jones, who's turned out to be a pretty decent corner out of Florida State. The draft was a pretty good. I'd say B+ on the draft. I think it was the free agents that kind of screwed us over. We brought in guys like Eric Armstead, who was supposed to beef up the line alongside Josh Hines-Allen, who we signed to a big contract, and then Trayvon Walker. Those two guys are doing well. Trayvon Walker's having a big year. We brought in Gabe Davis from Buffalo, who was supposed to be our kind of more veteran deep threat receiver, and that's been an absolute wash. And then we brought in Mitch Morse as the center, which he's been pretty good. He's definitely better than Luke Fortner, but the rest of the offensive line has not really held up that great either. I think statistically it shows that it's better than last season, but last season was terrible. So overall, and let's not talk about ETN and his fumbling problems and the lack of performance in his games when he's the starter, when we got Tank Bigsby. But overall, our scheming and play calling has been absolutely terrible. The culture in the locker room is very obviously lost. It is gone. Doug Peterson lost this locker room a long time ago. There have been a lot of calls to bench Trevor Lawrence or give Mac Jones his try and all that kind of stuff. Trevor Lawrence has actually been having a pretty decent season until he also got hurt last week. His stats and his performance and rating and his numbers have really been right there with the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. In fact, multiple times this year, he was ahead of guys like Patrick Mahomes. Trevor Lawrence is not the problem in Jacksonville. The front office is, and the coaching staff is, and the ownership who won't clear house and fix these things is. Finally this week, Gabe Davis is back. Brian Thomas Jr. is ready to play. Of course, we lost Christian Kirk for the season. That's pretty bad. He was a really good weapon and possibly a good trade bait as well. Trevor Lawrence sits out the game for a left shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder injury. He's exploring options for treatment, possible surgery, etc. But what it really seemed like is a mid-season holdout because he's tired of Doug Peterson and his crap. And sure enough, Mac Jones starts, looks like garbage. The defense plays pretty well, gets multiple turnovers and holds the game to a low score. Vikings don't score a touchdown, but then Jacksonville can't do crap. And I think it kind of showed everybody, you're starting to see on social media, it kind of showed everybody Trevor Lawrence is not the problem because now you got your Mac Jones in there, and he was just as bad. Well, not just as bad, but worse by far. So it's quite obviously the coaching staff. Doug Peterson has been really flippant about his quarterback and about his team. He likes to throw people under the bus. He likes to be antagonistic with reporters. It's time to go. You don't want to lose your starting quarterback, your franchise quarterback, who is obviously holding this team up, when you could just get rid of this coaching staff and move on. I don't care if we're done for this year. Clear the staff and let's work toward a better culture going into next year. So a pleasant surprise in the world of Pokemon has been Pokemon TCG Go. I didn't actually know it was coming, to be honest. I'm usually pretty up on most things having to do with Pokemon. I play a lot of Pokemon Go. I have the classic games for my Game Boys and my 3DS, and I collect the TCG, the physical game. And then, of course, there is already Pokemon TCG Live, which is a essentially fully featured, fully functional digital version of the real-world TCG, where you can either buy packs and products in-game to collect and use to build decks and play, or if you buy physical product, you will get code cards that will give you a copy of that product in the game, like say a booster pack or a deck or something, right? Or sometimes it'll be like a promo card, like a featured card. You'll get a digital version of that to use in the game. Fully featured, fully functional. That's great, especially for the hardcore audience. I'm glad that option is there because I do use it at times as well. However, what TCG Pocket does is it fills the casual side of things, which honestly works really well in this case because you're talking about a mobile game and you want people to get into the concept of collecting Pokemon cards, whether real or whatever. You're giving them a digital option for that. So just on the collecting side, every day you can open a pack and you have various challenges where you can earn little sand timers that you use to open packs earlier or quicker or whatever. You can buy gold, of course, to do this more, but it's a fully free to play game. There's no pay to win or anything like that. Fully free game. You have these smaller condensed packs. Everything about this version is essentially the normal stuff but condensed. 5-card packs. It's a combination of many different sets, artworks, and cards into this the set they're using. But they're 5-card packs. They got some really cool artwork, really cool special cards, and one of the best features is the 3D effects. If you pull a special rarity like EX card or something like that, you'll be able to pull the card up full screen and sit there and tap on it and manipulate it, like kind of like move it around at different angles and see the shine and look at the graphics. But also some of them actually feature 3D kind of like pop out effects from the card. So like as you move the card around, it'll appear to be like popped away from the card, which is really neat. So the collecting aspect is really fun, but there's also the multiplayer aspect. And it's, like I said, it's like a condensed version of everything traditional. Instead of having 6 Pokemon for combat, you have 4, the one that you have currently out for combat, and then a 3-card bench. Instead of a 60-card deck, you have a 20-card deck. And instead of having energies included in that, the game generates energy for you every turn that you can then use. And so in certain ways, it's simplified and is meant to be played within a few minutes, which is actually really neat. Like I said, for a mobile game, even I, as like a big-time fan of the series and of the card game and all that and collecting, it's nice to have that option. And it's so pleasantly set up, like easy to use and understand, and graphically, it's very pleasantly set up as well. So collecting is a lot of fun. The multiplayer aspect's a lot of fun. And when you play the multiplayer, you even unlock more of these little points that you can use to open more packs through challenges and such. So overall, a really awesome idea. And so far, it's a great experience. I've been playing it for like a week now and really enjoy it. I just log in every day for a few minutes, open some packs, go, do I want to play multiplayer or not? You get to create your own little binders to display on your profile and put like your favorite cards in and such. It's very well executed. One of the few things that's gone right, in my opinion, for Pokemon mobile games and such, with all the issues that Pokemon Go has. And I look forward to and continue to enjoy it in the future. And I'd say check it out yourself.